The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, new outside bar now open on match days.
There's a chance here, a great save. Turner from McClare. A terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brexman against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble with saving that.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday Week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me on the line, first of all, we have Mr. Davies. Hi there, Richie Old Bean.
Hello there, my lord. How are you this week?
Jolly well, thank you very much. We've got Fudgy. How are you, Fudgy?
I didn't think you'd come to me second, so I was nuts deep in a burger then. I'm just chewing it back. Give me a minute. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right, Lord H. How's it going? You all right?
Good man, top job. And Mr. Marriott's here, of course. Our ever-ready Mr. Marriott. How the devil are you, old boy?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's good to be back on this side of the microphone this week after your absence last week. I have got to just warn you, though, I've got a bit of a cough, feeling a bit under the weather, a little bit fluid. But being a man, I'm not good. I don't like to mention it. I'm certainly not going to go on about it. So I just thought I'd mention it now. But I am really ill. I am dying. I'm really, really ill.
He's a man. He's a mighty good man. Say it again. Yes, I apologise for my absence last week. Of course, we had a wonderful, I don't even want to say standing there, an upgrade, shall we say. Mr. Garrido popped in to say, absolutely lovely to hear. Been a while since we've heard from Mr. Garrido, hasn't it? Are we trying to sort of muscle the old lord out here, Jake Colby?
Yeah, you're old news now. You're gone. You can't really compete. You know, he can speak Spanish. What have you got?
I can speak Lordish, old boy.
It does get a bit worrying when we go professional, doesn't it? It's like,
when we go
like
professional.
David on and yeah, we
Can he actually speak Spanish? Is that actually a thing? Can he actually speak Spanish?
Spanish is definitely a thing, yeah. But yeah, he can speak like fluent Spanish.
Shout with Fessy.
I thought Spanish was made up by Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride. I didn't realise it was actually a thing.
I think that's the kind of Spanish that Mr. Greedo uses to draw the ladies closer, you see. That's what happens. Right then, ladies and gents, enough of Mr. Greedo talk, even though he's a superstar. Let's crack on with some Sheffield Wednesday chatter, shall we? Of course, first of all, we have to discuss the Brighton defeat. Of course, they came to Hillsborough, and let's face it, Brighton have been rather good this season, haven't they? Very, very impressive. There were a few players shy, which I thought would work in our favour. But, I mean, they were very good on the day as well, weren't they?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's weird, isn't it, how obviously we were in the playoff semi-final together. And at the time, I kind of thought we are two fairly similar teams. And it's interesting to see how they've changed and how we've changed in that time. Because they've kind of stuck with more or less the same team as they had. We've made a few changes, although actually at the moment we're playing not far off the team that we had at the back end of last season anyway. I haven't decided yet on Saturday whether we were all right and they were just better than us, or whether we were actually a little bit poor and it wasn't really happening. Because if you look at the stats, I mean, the stats say that we absolutely hammered them. We had like 20 odd shots or something, and they had about 4. We had more possession. Like, all the stats show that we should have absolutely walked it in that game, but it never felt like it was going to happen, did it? It was a bit of an off day for us. Brighton were superb. I think they are a really good team. They're well organised. Everyone knows what they're doing in that team. You know, they didn't have many chances. They took the ones that they had. They kind of looked dangerous every time they came forward, and they were just better. They're just a better team than we are, and I think they're probably more prepared for what this season's about than maybe we are. And you know, maybe we did overachieve a little bit last season, and you know, Brighton were more consistent than we were last season, and they're probably going to be more consistent than we are this season. So I don't know. I don't know what I take from that game.
I mean, let's be honest. They were better than we were. The entire game, they were just better. And Knockaert in the playoffs, in both legs, was quite the threat. And he turned into more of a threat. I mean, was it Lewis Dunk put the cross in? I mean, that was a beautiful cross, and he was one of the standout players from the playoffs. And I think all it did for me was solidify just how how much we robbed them blind in the playoffs. They finished 13 points higher than the league. You know what I mean? They were better than us all season. And I've said this before. I think it was Billy the Bee that said, "You're not top 2 material just yet." And I think what that loss did was solidify that to us. Would anybody agree?
Yeah, I think from the match on, we're not. I think we've not been top 2 all season. I think after 10 games, we were we're 9th now, we're 7th, whatever. And,
nobody knows. We don't look at the table until Christmas.
I know. I'm talking after 10 games, we're 7th, and that's the last time I looked at it. But it's kind of where you need to be, and I suppose we're 7th says a lot that we're not in the top 2, and I know Huddersfield are in the top, and I don't think they will be at the end of the season, but. Yeah, I think we're going to be a playoff. It's going to be playoffs again this year, I think. And the Brighton game was very frustrating, and I think a lot of people around me were giving it a few boos and everything. But I just thought they were a better side. I don't think we were particularly bad, or we didn't do things. And I still don't think the players are all firing and they're not all on form at the minute. But I just think Brighton were a better side on Saturday.
There were a couple of players that had a bit of an off day, weren't there? I think that Bannon looked tired and looks a bit. I always think he looks lost in that role, and I know some people say that they don't. I've said a few times on the pod that I really think that deep line midfielder is a really important position, and we keep getting it wrong. I don't think that Bannon's the answer for that, and I know not everyone agrees with that, but I kind of felt that Saturday was proof. And it was interesting actually that in the pub before the game, when the team came out, and obviously he'd not played David Jones. And my friend John said, I think that's a mistake against Brighton. I think that they're very strong coming forward, and we need that extra defensively minded player, which Bannon isn't. And I sort of dismissed it a little bit and went, yeah, but we're at home. It's all right to have a different team that you play at home to what you play away. And he was absolutely right in hindsight, because they, in terms of midfield, they were just better. They closed us down. They played the ball a lot more incisively and looked like they could turn defence into attack very quickly, whereas I think we were a little bit sluggish in terms of getting forward on Saturday and couldn't really create. Brighton are very, very strong defensively, whereas we weren't. I think we looked a little bit weak defensively, and it's not the first game this season where we've seen that, where we look really vulnerable. And the risk of sounding like a bit of a broken record, we've really got to sort out who it is that's going to play in front of the back four, because as much as it's important to have certainly a settled centre-back pairing, ideally a settled back four, that defensive midfielder is just as important, and it needs to be a settled position, that it needs to be someone that gets to know the way those four defenders work, and that's something it feels like we're a long way off at the moment, which is a shame, because it's going to cost us that.
The thing is, Carlos, and don't get me wrong, we've all seen the speculation about Carlos and all the rest of the nonsense that people are putting out there about him. But he is not a defensive-minded manager. It is that simple, isn't it? He always said he doesn't give two hoots about clean sheets or anything at all like that. It's just outscoring the other team. So we've seemed to have gone from one extreme with Mr. Stuart Vanilla right over to the other extreme with Carlos, when we could really do with something in the middle there, couldn't we? And maybe... as we all saw last season, that something in the middle is Hutch in the chuffing middle. And I know that there's other people going to not get a game because of that, but to me, it makes perfect sense.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that we last season I thought we looked at a different team when we'd got Hutch playing than when he wasn't there, because he is so strong defensively, and he allows those fullbacks to push forward. And he allows us to drop to that back three when we need to do it. We can't do that at the moment. You can't do that with Bannon. You arguably probably can't really do that with David Jones. He's not, by design, he's not a defensive midfield player. He's actually an attacking midfield player, but he's better suited to that role than anyone else we've got at the moment. If we can sort out a centre-back pairing that doesn't include Hutch and move Hutch back to that position, then great. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Carlos doesn't seem interested in that. He's said quite consistently all season that this season Hutch will be a centre-back, and doesn't really appear to be kind of wavering in that. He seemed quite firm about it. Whether this thing about Carlos saying that he doesn't care about defending, whether that's really true, or that's Carlos being the kind of the guy that he is when he's in front of the media, I don't know. I mean, no team is going to say, well, we don't bother practicing defending, because you're going to lose every game if that's the case. He's got to be thinking about the fact that that's our frailty at the moment, and compared to last season, where we were strong at the back last season, this season we are. It's like a different team really, and not that much has changed other than that little bit of shape. You know, we're still talking about more or less the same players in that defence, aren't we?
I actually agree with you. What has gone on with the defence? Last season we sat here on this show waxing lyrical about how great Tom Lees and Glenn Loovens were and how wonderful we were at the back, and that's been the solid point of our entire decent season that we had. What seems to have gone wrong? I mean, what's the problem? Is it confidence? Is it that we reached as high as we can get? Is it lack of motivating after the disappointment at Wembley? I mean, what is it? Does anybody want to hazard a guess?
I mean, Tom Lees has been in the Sheffield Star tonight, actually Tuesday, and said that he doesn't think he's in the same form he has been for the last couple of seasons. He's not happy with his form, and I think probably we could say that of a few players, to be honest, throughout the team, that they're not hitting those highs they were last year, but we know they're capable of them, and that's where my positive is. That these players like Lees and Westwood, I think, said it as well. You know that there's more to come from them, I think, and it's just, you know, we could do with that coming along sooner rather than later, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, it sounds at the moment like we're talking like we're in the bottom three or something, and we're trying to figure out how the hell we saved our season. You know, it's not been a bad start. We're a point better off than we were going into this international break a year ago, and you know, it kind of is at the moment. And I know there's people, I've seen people on Twitter saying that, you know, the end is nigh and everything's terrible and stuff, and that's really not the case. We're actually kind of on the verge of a really big breakthrough, but we've been saying it for a few weeks, and it's still not really fallen into place. Even the games that we won, and we said this at the time, there's a slight worry when you're winning games in the last minute. I think it was Fudge that made this point, and it was a good point. When you're winning games in the last minute, it's great, but it's just that little bit of a worry about that's not really a system that you can employ for the whole season. And, you know, we've maybe been found out a little since then. But, you know, it is fine margins, isn't it? And that's the Championship. If we can just plug those little, you know, leaks at the back, and it could be as simple as someone that's dedicated to that deep lying midfield role that does it and gives the back four the confidence to be able to play like they did last season, and that solves the problem. It might be something dead simple. It's not, you know, we can't come up with that because, you know, we don't see how they're playing on the training pitch, and we don't know what's going through Carlos's head. We've got to have faith in Carlos to sort that out. I can understand why there's a few people questioning Carlos at the moment, because it doesn't feel like he's close to figuring it out. You know, I can see why people are getting a little bit frustrated. But we've just got to put our trust in him. You know, he took us to Wembley last season, the best season that we've had for many years. And I've still got confidence that we can solve the issues that we've got this season. And we're in a position whereby, you know, we can make a push for the top two. You know, we shouldn't be saying that we rule that out. It's kind of hard to see at the moment. You know, we can certainly make a push for the playoffs. There's such a lot of football to play between now and the end of the season, and we saw last season how once you start winning games, it can become really infectious. And you know, it might not be that far off.
Do you know? I think possibly has it got something to do with the spine of the team, starting from the back, because they're not in form. Is that kind of, you know, affecting it right through? And when Lee starts firing, then it just gradually goes through the team, and the strikers will start scoring as well, just as a, you know, a bit of a wave through. I don't know. I'm just kind of pontificating. What a word that is, about what. But we should maybe get Vic to get in touch with Carlos again after he nearly picked the same side that she suggested this weekend as well. You never know, he might listen to her again.
Oh, in that case, we can just blame Vic, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely,
I think that's why she's not on tonight. She came up with this story about how she was really tired because she'd been at a posh do. It's not. It's because she made a big deal on Twitter about how she'd sent her suggested team to Carlos and he picked that team. So, I think she might be feeling a bit sheepish.
I think we should play Westwood in goal, Lees at the back. Yeah.
Is that your Vic impression or your Carlos impression there, Richie?
Well, more Vic than Carlos, I think.
It does have to be said on that game as well. Of course, we did have a debutant. Mr. Dawson came on after Westwood went off injured. And talk to me about him. I mean, this is a chap we've been watching for a long time. He's been involved in the England youth squad, etc., etc. Been quite excited about this chap. What did he look like, Jay?
If I'm honest, it looked a bit nervous, but
Yeah.
the defence was playing quite nervous as well. I mean, coming on to make your debut against Brighton of all teams is a heck of a debut to make, isn't it? You know, it'd be great if we could have given him a run out in a cup game or something before now. So I think it would be very difficult to judge him off the back of that. I don't think he was particularly at fault for their second goal. I'm not sure that. I think his positioning was probably right, considering the fact that the ball was pinging around the box a little bit, and you've got to put yourself somewhere. So I don't think he can kind of have a finger of blame pointed at him. But I think after that, he looked a little bit nervous. It's going to knock his confidence a little bit, and that's why we know we've got a really good goalkeeping coach in Andy Rhodes that can pick him back up if he's been hit a little bit. And it's been great to see kind of him talking in the papers and stuff about how proud he was to make his debut. So hopefully any kind of bad thoughts he's got off the back of the Brighton game he can forget about and make a real push to become part of that first team squad now.
Absolutely.
We do have a really good just a goalkeeping situation at Hillsborough is probably. I think it's always been fairly good. We've always had good goalkeepers, but especially at the minute with two youngsters like Wildsmith and Dawson coming through, it bodes well. And it just shows that Keane's not even getting a sniff at the first team at all.
Well,
isn't
he's injured though, isn't he? We're flipping crap
Is he
at
actually-
keeping
is he
goalkeepers
actually
fit.
injured?
That's the
I didn't
problem.
know that.
We've got 3 goalkeepers injured now, and only one that's fit. So there's some hard work to be done over the next couple of weeks to resolve that.
Is it too late to put Bolly back in a keeper shirt and just stick him on the bench just in
You
case?
can register him,
Honestly, Dave, he's 6'7" or whatever. He can leap around a bit. He's good at throwing himself on the floor. Get him in the net.
You could go back to Ersty. I mean, Ersty's there in a match day, isn't he? So drag him out and get him in goal
Hey.
again.
Well, quite literally a Phil thing these days, wouldn't he? Bless him. But no, it was a disappointing game. But as we've all said, Brighton were a very, very good team. And fair play, we're not going to win them all. And sometimes other teams are just better. And it is terribly disappointing, especially after essentially beating them 4 times last season. Yes, there was sort of circumstances that lent in our favour last season during those wins. But hey ho, we just move on to the next one.
Whether you're celebrating a birthday, a wedding or anniversary, maybe you've passed your driving test, or you've landed a new job. Well, whatever your reason for a party, the Riverside Cafe is the perfect location on Catch Bar Lane overlooking Hillsborough Stadium. To inquire about hiring us for your function, call 07989 856 054 or 0114 232 6121.
Now looking at the season as a whole so far, I think we're just past the first quarter now, aren't we? So can we start to sort of look at the team? Is there worries that we have? I mean, obviously we've been speaking about the defensive frailties, but there's been some cracking football played. We have to be said, we've not been battered by teams, have we? There is some really, really sexy football being played at Hillsborough at the moment.
My concern is that we're conceding first every time. Is anybody else worried about this?
Oh, I'm used to letting everybody else go first. Just ask Lady H.
Oh. Didn't we have an issue with this last season as well? That starting quite slow was a bit of a thing, and it would sometimes take us until half time to kind of get things right, and sometimes a substitution or two, and that would solve the problem. I think it's a bit of a Carlos thing. I don't think Carlos doesn't seem to be the kind of manager that panics about things. He takes it all in his stride, and has an idea in his head about what he's going to do to change things to sort it out, and some of the time gets away with it and it works, and then some of the time, like on Saturday, it doesn't work. But it is a worry. I mean, you're not gonna. It's gonna be bloody hard to get promoted to the Premier League when you're nearly always conceding the first goal. I mean, it's like giving the opposition a goal lead, isn't it?
I seriously think it will turn around. It will come to a point where we start to keep the clean sheets and everybody starts to come into. I'm not saying everybody at once, but the majority of the team will be in form, and I think at some point we will give somebody a good hiding. I really do, and I think that'll be then the kind of the charge then to finish in those top 6 and hopefully top 2.
It's weird you've said that, Rich, because I think there was time hop on my blower that kicked in, and it said something along the lines of a tweet that I did. I think it was last season that said, 2 goals down. Don't worry about that. Take some Sheffield Wednesday. You're all right. Something like that. I think we've had a stuttered start. We have, and the Wednesday fraternity, and I think probably the rest of us maybe thought that we'd kick on. We'd pick up where we left off last year, but it's not happened. It's been essentially the same start as what we had last year. So there will be a game. There will be that victory. There will be that one thing where we all of a sudden become, oh, hang on a minute, we can do this. But I'm just concerned that it might be a little, too little, too late. Do you know what I mean? Like it was last season.
Well, last season we sort of hit form at the right time, didn't we? Which pushed us into the playoffs because we were sort of picking points up as everybody else were essentially chuffing up, weren't they? And we managed to sort of scrape our way into the playoffs, which, again, if that happens again this season, brilliant. Everybody's happy. But again, we're not known for being a patient bunch, shall we, us Wednesdayites, unfortunately. And we do have very, very short memories as well because, again, very similar conversations. If we go back to episode 9 of last season, I'm sure we were having a very, very similar conversation. But have
you been listening back, Lord H? Have you been having a little listen back as to what we were talking about to see if it was the same old nonsense that we were spouting? Is that why you know so much about Rotherham?
We've all got better mics, though, haven't we, this season? We all sound a little bit better. The quality's gone up a bit. Of the podcast,
yeah, you included me in the podcast. I wasn't there last year at episode 9, so you know.
Yeah, that's where our season went tits up.
Hey,
but no, I mean the one person that patience does really matter with is Mr. Chansiri, isn't he? I mean, we've not heard a great deal from him just recently. And do we think that Mr. C is going to have that patience to let Carlos do what he's doing? They've always had, as far as I can see, a perfectly amicable relationship. Best of chums. We've all seen the photos of them hugging and all the rest of the bits and bobs that chairmans and managers get up to, I assume. But is Mr. C going to have that patience?
Well, we don't know yet, do we? This is the interesting thing because, we know he came in and originally said that he was going to stand by Stuart Gray, and then fairly close to the start of the season, he pulled the plug on that and got rid. Probably with justification. I can understand if they talked and realised that they got different ideas about what kind of football they wanted us to play. But we don't really know, do we, yet, what kind of chairman and owner he is when it comes to managers. We've seen the guy at Aston Villa, who we all acknowledge is a complete nut job, kind of show his card this week by getting rid of Di Matteo so quickly. And we've seen clubs in the past where they've kind of marked their cards quite early in terms of not having much patience. We really don't know. I don't know whether or not Mr. Chansiri is the kind of guy that's going to have patience. He was very clear when he came in about wanting to be back in the Premier League for our 150th year. We've talked before about this, about how he's a proud man, and the culture in Thailand is that if you make a promise, you've got to keep it.
That's the one.
And he will not want to miss out on that, or he'll certainly not want to kind of miss out on it without a damn good fight. So another couple of bad results, and it's very possible there will be real pressure on Carlos. Whether that's right or wrong, that is football in this day and age, and we've seen today with Cardiff getting rid of their manager.
Cardiff,
Appointing Neil Warnock, which is a very strange call, and great to have him back, but a bit of an odd one. That silly season is starting, isn't it now? Managerial merry-go-round is getting underway, and there will be managers becoming available, and if you're a chairman that's maybe just thinking about pulling the trigger, then if a manager becomes available and you think, ooh, now they could do a job for us, then your hand might be forced. I don't know. It's weird. We don't know what kind of chairman Mr. Chansiri is yet. He might be a dead loyal guy. He might stand by him, like you say, Lord H. They do seem like really good mates. They seem to genuinely like each other, and he's backed him, and he's put his faith in it, and he doesn't seem to interfere with team affairs. He seems to trust him. But it's a results business, isn't it? And at the moment, we're not in the. We don't look like we're going to be in the top 6, and that's got to change.
We've seen that Mr. C has put his stamp on the club pretty much firmly, hasn't he? I mean, he's come in, the kit's changed, the badge changed, we've got elephants outside, etc., etc., etc. So he's not scared to put his stamp on things. And we've saw what happened with the Fessy situation. He put his foot down in that situation as well, and made it quite clear that he was the boss. So if he needs to, he will do, won't he? It's that simple. And like Jay says, it's just a case of sort of hanging back and see what happens. But I suppose that's something we can only speculate about. And looking at sort of the social medias and the Facebooks and the websites and the forums and all that kind of thing, there are a lot of Wednesday fans now getting a little bit impatient, but we always have been, haven't we? That's the thing. Am I reading a little bit too much into this, do you think?
This is natural, isn't it? You know what? We panic as fans as well, and it's it's hard. I find it quite hard sometimes to go on this podcast and try and be fairly calm and collected, because like anyone, you panic a bit when you see teams like Huddersfield, who've actually spent very little and are charging £175 for season tickets or whatever daft amount it is, and they're at the top of the league, and you think, well, what are we doing wrong? Why are we not doing that? We're all paying whatever for tickets to go and watch the game, and we're not winning as much as they are. It's natural, I think, to panic, because we all love this club and we want to see it do really well. We know, if any club knows that just sacking the manager because you lose a few games is not the answer, it's Sheffield Wednesday, because we've made a generation out of it pretty much now, and it's never worked. So I think that we're right to stand by Carlos until the point where it's really difficult to defend the position that we're in. And we're a long way from that at the moment. But it's not our club. We don't make that call. And I don't think there's as many fans that are seriously thinking about whether or not Carlos is the right man as you'd be led to believe by looking at the SWFC hashtag on Twitter, or even listening to Football Heaven on Radio Sheffield. I think most fans see it quite clearly and see the fact that we're not far off at the moment. We've not played terrible football this season. Anyone says that it's been rubbish and that we're a bad side is just wrong. Simple as that. They're wrong, because the football at times has been brilliant.
Sorry, have people been slagging Carlos off on Football Heaven? I don't get it down here, so obviously I don't get to hear it. But
I turn it off.
General consensus.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I've not listened to it so far this week, because I find it really annoying, and the fact that because of my job, my day job, I can't ring up. I can't get involved in that, and I hear people say stuff, and I'm like, I need to respond to that, because that's just ridiculous, and I can't do it. So I find it easier to just not listen.
Could you not go on and make come on with some kind of gruff voice and just pretend it's not for you?
Hello, it's Tony here from Shirebrook.
There we go, exactly, Tony from Shirebrook. There we go. That's you, is it?
Can you imagine how sad it'd have to be to go on some kind of an audio forum and disguise your voice into somebody else? It'd be ridiculous. That'd be absolutely crazy.
Tony from Shirebrook sounded like he was a cockney as well, to be fair.
Right, yeah.
There was obviously you guys won't have heard, it was a cracking chap on there the other day who had sent Carlos a tweet with his views on the game, and was very annoyed that Carlos had then blocked him after reading it.
I heard that guy. I love that guy. I think he's brilliantly entertaining.
Absolutely. We should get him here. Absolutely. If you're listening, give us drop us a line. We'll not block you. You can say whatever you like to us. Crack, you should see some of the tweets I get. It's ridiculous. But yeah, if you ever want to come on and say hello, happy to have you, old boy. Right then, ladies. So there's not been a massive amount of Sheffield Wednesday news this week, obviously with one thing and another. But one wonderful bit of news, right? And I know we keep harking back to this, and we've always said we're trying our very best not to get excited and ridiculously pumped up about this, but Mr. Hurst Jr. stuck a chuffing hat-trick in against Leeds, didn't he? Which is brilliant. And looking at the goals, were all sorts of different goals as well. I am so excited about this boy, and I can't help it, and I'm sorry.
George Hurst wearing his dad's disco pants.
Oh, my word. Have you seen the goals, chaps?
Yes. Yeah, there were three great goals.
Three fantastic, different types of goals as well, and it's just what his dad used to do. There isn't a type of goal that lad just doesn't seem not to be able to score at the moment, which is exactly what his dad used to do. He could hit it from jumping halfway line, he could get involved in the poaching in the box, he could do everything, and the runs that he makes are exactly like his dad's. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to calm down, because I just want him inside tomorrow. Stick him in, Carlos.
I'm getting carried away, Lord H. I think on behalf of Eddie, I've got to say that, we're all very excited that at some point we're going to have the name Hurst on the back of his shirt, but I don't think we can have number 9. Am I right? Is that not Dapon's boy or nephew or something?
It's Adam Reach now, isn't it?
Oh, it's Reach for the Stars, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't care. When he comes in, take it off him and stick it on his back. I do not give a chuff. There is a tradition to be had, and I cannot tell you how incredibly excited I am. And I know I shouldn't be, and I know usually when I get this excited about things, it all goes terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. But it just looks fucking fantastic, doesn't it? And I'm so excited for him to come in. And
we can tell you're excited, Lou.
Yeah, it's actually getting a little disturbing now.
It is, yeah.
It sounds like you're excited about it to the point where you might be ready to peak with your excitement any second.
Jeeves is sat with him at the moment.
Yeah. He has a bucket and a mop at the ready.
Sound like Louis Theroux is going to do a documentary.
To be fair, when I'm normally sat at the computer, Jeeves will have a bucket and a mop at the ready, but for a completely different reason. But I'm sorry. There was. I'm sure other people follow the same people I do on Twitter. The Wednesday Youth Twitter feed as well, and there was a few points where they mentioned that maybe young Mr. Hurst could have been a little bit more physical with some of the defenders that will give him a bit of jip and bits and bobs and the other. But I just
tell him to wind it in. He's 17-year-old. He's only a boy. He's only a kid.
I'm sure I was more aggressive at 17 than I am now, being in my old man state. Aren't 17-year-olds supposed to be evil and nasty and all like and that and ting in it and that and ting?
I like the way you said that, Lord H. It made it sound like you were outside Club Wow in 1997, just kicking off outside Turkey King, just mustering everybody out the way while Dick Dollar was on a Monday night.
It was Trevollies. Trevollies. Oh my word, those were the days.
The important question about George Hurst is: can he play in the net? Because we might need him before too much longer. He seems to be able to score lots of goals. Can he stop them?
Well, there's a few chaps out there, and in the development squad, and it is looking spiffing, and clearly they've been investing money into that. Obviously, we've actually brought players in and paid money for players in the development squad as well, which is fantastic. And personally, I think this is one of the best sort of development teams that we can be excited about now, because it used to be something that just sort of happened, didn't it? But now it seems to be taken incredibly more seriously than it was, and we are going to start obviously using it at some point as either a feeding for the first team, or, although it pains me to say it, maybe even making money from that development team as well, because they're just looking brilliant. They really are. Some of the players in there are looking absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Wild Smith's come through from there. We've had a few other sort of hints and sniffs from there as well just recently. Obviously, Mr. Hurst does now have his professional contract. He's had it a while now, so I should imagine a couple of years we'll be seeing him sort of on the bench and things. Would it be an idea to start popping these chaps off too on loan to maybe a lower league club so they can get some proper game time with men? Because we heard Chris Holt when he came on, friend of the podcast, shall we say now, Mr. Chris Holt, and essentially they're still playing other kids, aren't they? And I don't mean that disrespectfully, not in the slightest. Obviously, I'd love to have half the talent a lot of these kids have, but at some point they have to step up and actually play men in the man's game and take a bit of a beating, don't they? Would it be a good idea to send these out?
I think what's really good is how long is it since we could actually say that we've got some good young players, the Matt Pennies of the world and Hursty and the others that seem to be kind of doing so well. It's been a long time since we could say we could have a few that, not just the odd one. That we were looking. I'll go back to Dean Barrick donkeys years ago. Was a brilliant prospect, and look what he turned out.
Is that your age popping out there, old boy?
Might be a little bit. I'm just reading on the internet. Actually,
where are they now?
Funnily enough, no.
Well, that's a good idea for a feature. That I quite like that.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. I'll leave that one to you, James. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I could have a go at that. I don't think it'll work though, mate. If I'm honest. I find it quite interesting, this thing about youth players, because I don't know if anyone's been following the kind of debacle that is, I've got to use its proper name, the Checker Trade Trophy, which is quite hard to say.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything in football that is such a farce. You've got, I think there's a game at Grimsby tonight where there's an attendance of 600. There was one last night where it was less than 500. No one cares about it. They really don't. And the Football League, their justification has been that it's to help try and bridge the gap between the academy system and the under 21 teams or whatever they are, and the professional game, because often players struggle to make that step up, and this is about trying to bridge that gap. It's obviously not doing a very good job because no one gives a shit about it. But the best way of bridging that gap is a bit of a poser, isn't it? How do you do it? Because there is, we've seen it before where you see players that look brilliant when they're, in the academy and when they're a kid, but when it actually comes to playing the game for real, it doesn't happen for them, and they end up fading away and not really doing anything. And next thing they end up playing kind of non-league and having a job as a builder or whatever Monday to Friday. So it's a really difficult one to get right. And I kind of like the fact that rather than just send all the players out on loan, we've kind of kept them maybe to have a good think about it, and maybe Bully and his team are having a real good think and just mulling over what is the best way of getting these guys equipped and ready to make that step up, and maybe we'll be ready to make that call in January if we do send them out.
I think the stat is 1%, isn't it, that actually make it?
It's astonishing, isn't it? That it really
is crazy, yeah.
And it reflects so badly on our football clubs. It really does, that we're that bad at actually getting these guys geared up and ready for professional football. This EFL trophy malarkey is I don't think is the answer. I don't think is the way. And similarly, the talk originally of having academies that join the Football League, so you end up with like a Manchester United B team that's playing in the 4th tier or the 5th tier or whatever, is equally a ridiculous idea.
Don't like it.
But we've got to, and it's not just a Wednesday thing. This is football as a whole. Has got to come up with some better way of bridging that gap from youth football to professional football.
And it can be a problem because, I mean, as a parent and of sons, one of my lads, cracking player, don't get me wrong, maybe not good enough for the Football League or anything like that, but as a boy, we went to various academies, we went to various, what they now call elite training camps and all this kind of thing. And a lot of it now it's a business as well, because I have paid quite a lot of money for my boy to play football, and vice versa. Obviously he eventually got into a team and he's played futsal football and all sorts of things on there. But then after that particular point, it's just, there's nothing for them. And
they obviously get the skills from the mum then.
Oh, clearly, absolutely. Yeah.
It's clearly just a manipulation of the brand. It's clearly just a point where they try and go, we've got a brand here. We can do a football school, charge the parents as much as we want to get involved with it, and then there's no guarantee of any kind of contract at the end of it. I think actually I texted you yesterday, didn't I, James, and showed you that. What was it? That there was a radio station down here doing a journalism course, and you could pay $4,500 to be a radio journalist. There was no guarantee of a job at the end of it. It was just literally some bloke from the radio going, "Yeah, you can be a journalist now." Oh, well, I didn't even get my, I didn't even get my headgear to stitch up Sam Allardyce. They didn't give me any of that. There's no promise of that. It's literally just a manipulation of the brand, and that's the way it's gone. However, I agree with James. I think it's a great bridge between that developmental squad level to Football League level, but there needs to be something better, because the Checker Trade Trophy, the only thing that's good for is over 1.5 bet on Sky Bet. You know what I mean?
It's a farce, isn't it? It's such a joke, that competition. I mean, it was bad enough when it was whatever it was last season, the JPT. But what they've done to it has just destroyed it. And I think
big time, hasn't it?
It can't be difficult to come up with some way of moving that forwards. Get fans, do something that gets fans interested in youth football, whether it's a really good youth competition that some of the lower league clubs have got a chance in. Because you think about some like clubs like Crewe, who've got a really good reputation for bringing through young players, and even teams that are in disarray at the moment, like Bolton, who've always had a decent reputation for bringing through young players. Blackburn have always had a decent youth system.
Oh, don't start with Blackburn.
Well, he's not on tonight, is he? He's a bit tired from job hunting. So yeah, I mean, there's clubs that have got really good reputations, but I don't think many people know it because it's such a hidden thing now. Youth football, there's just got to be a way of making it better and setting these players up better. There's got to be.
No, absolutely. And all that said, I mean, we will be starting the TWW Cast podcasting school as of next season. So if you've got a spare $7,000, by all means, do get in touch. And you two could be podcasting with Dan Fudge, Rich Davis, and James Marriott next year.
That's brilliant. Are we each going to take one class like Dan Fudge will do how to get knob gags into everyday conversation? Whatever conversation is, he will show you a way that you can get a knob gag into it.
There's always some way to slide in a knob gag, isn't there? Oh boy.
I've just set up the first bank account, which goes directly into the Riverside Cafe to go behind the bar too.
Right then, ladies and gents, so let's crack on, shall we? Now, of course, as we said earlier, there has been scant Wednesday news this week. Obviously, international break coming up as well. We did have a little idea for a couple of weeks ago, and now we've got time to do it. We've been speaking about the Sublime coming through from the youth team, but we have had some utter chuffing stinkers at Hillsborough as well. Let's face it. How some of these people got to be professional footballers, I shall never know. But in your opinion, gents, the worst player that you've seen at Hillsborough in the last 10 years? Now, I know there's been a few candidates for this one, but fire away, chaps. And for you listening out there as well, by all means, tweet us your worst players, and let's see if you can beat the panel here. Who would like to go first?
Well, can I just say the background to this came about because there was, I think it was one of the newspapers or an online website or something. It's going to be an online website. It's not going to be an offline website, is it? What a stupid thing to say. that did a thing where they got like a supporter of each club to pick out theirs. And it was actually David Garrido from Sky that was asked to come up with the Wednesday one. And he came up with Martin Taylor. So he said that Martin Taylor he thought was the worst Wednesday sign in the last 10 years, which is what kind of gave us the idea, isn't it? We've hung on to it for a quiet week. I'll do mine then. And I mean, to be fair, it's worrying how many candidates there are for this, isn't it? Because we have had some real crap, and it's hard to believe, just how many different Sheffield Wednesdays we've seen in the last 10 years, because we've had some really bad ones. For me, I'm going to pick out a guy who joined us at a time when we really needed some quality in what was proving to be a hard season, and came with a lot of expectation on his back, and we all thought, oh, this is going to be the guy that transforms our season, and he did nothing, and that's Jay Bothroyd, who I was absolutely...
my thunder.
Sorry, dude. I was so excited when we signed him. Was it on deadline day or a couple of days before deadline day? And we were like, it comes with pedigree, he can score goals, he's played in the Premier League. And I really struggle to think of a point where he actually had a good game for us. The relationship he had with the fans broke down. I think that he was very, very open about the fact that he just didn't give a toss and really didn't care. And it became one of probably the most disappointing signings that I've ever seen us make. So that would be mine.
I think I've
was the day that we also signed Niles Barkley. It was the same day, and the first game they both played was a 3-0 drubbing away at Brighton, and I'll never forget it. Wow. It was absolutely the worst day of my damn life, and that was the first time I vowed never to go to Brighton again. It didn't go well, and I think that was all. Lord Hillsborough remember this. I think that was a day that we coined "beastie's nipples" as a phrase. So every cloud.
I think it was greasing Beastie's nipples, if I'm not wrong, old boy. Rich?
I'm just looking. I was going the Bothroyd way, and I've just Googled this, and I've got a wiki page up, and just looking at some of the names over the last 10 years. So we've got Chris Adamson, we've got in there, we've got look at Aaron Aldi. Do you remember him?
Vaguely.
He was in the last 10 years. God, there's some real names on here, but it's Julian Bennett is one that stands out as being one that you thought, going to be a great left back, and never ever delivered in the 29 games he played for us. It's such a hard one because there has been some, and going further back, we've had some real shit, haven't we? We really have.
Can I have like a secondary option? I'll let you have Bothroyd if you want, because I did have a kind of a close runner-up who was again someone that we signed on loan. This was in the League One days, and again came with a lot of excitement. Joined us from Tottenham and proved to be absolute toilet, and that is John Bostock.
He was going to be mine.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
He fits perfectly into that category that we were talking about earlier, which isn't it? That youth players that people get very excited about, that it just never happens for them in the professional game. Because he came with a huge buzz about him, and another one that I was dead excited, thinking this guy could be the one that's going to get us over the line and get us promoted. And I think it was his first game away at Chesterfield where he gave away a penalty. And did he miss an open net or something stupid? He did nothing. He was rubbish, and I don't think he's ever been heard of again. I think that he vanished, didn't he? And is he playing abroad now or in non-league or something? He really just didn't do it.
What we need to find out is, where is he now? Rich, get on it.
No, forget it. Forget it.
For me, the one that really, really, really disappointed me, who I was incredibly excited about, and it wasn't that long ago, was Mr. Petnick, who looked on paper fantastic. Obviously, we saw the YouTube vids of him. He even got his own Wednesday week song, which I am still incredibly proud about. But he just came, didn't do a great deal, and then chuffed off because he didn't like it, did he? And I was gutted about that. He had a lovely name, fantastic flowing locks, and a brilliant Wednesday week song.
Tubes from Soccer AM as well. Let's not forget that.
Like Tubes from Soccer AM. What more could you want in a footballer? But no. So, ladies and gents, please send us your worst signings, because no doubt there'll be some out there that we've forgotten about because they were that bad. So by all means, pop us your signings and we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you what, listen, there's one that I've got to speak about, and he wasn't very good. He wasn't technically gifted. I don't know how he played so many times. He was also part of the playoff winning team in 2005, and I've got to bring him up. It's Lee Peacock.
He's not.
I don't know how we ended up with him. Rubbish.
Is this your sort of official way of resigning as Mr. Peacock's jacket holder there?
Actually, no, I'm going out for his birthday on Saturday, so sorry, Lee, didn't mean it.
That's the only reason you mentioned it, isn't it? So you could drop that line.
Yeah, shoehorn it in. By the sounds of it, I've become one of those football fixers. You know, those guys that they text and go, "Can somebody get me some bread at 3 a.m?" You know what I mean? And there's always some little lackey who stood at the side of them going, "Yeah, I can sort of that, yeah." So he actually said, "We're going out for my birthday, come if you want." So I took that as a personal invitation. You know what I mean? And I said, "Actually, where are you off to? Because you're coming out in Southampton. I know a few people." And he went, "Oh, we're going this place and this place." So I went, "Yeah, I can sort that. Yeah, don't worry about that." So now I've given myself a job to go to these 3 bars that he's outlined, just to see if I can go back to him and go, "Oh, I managed to sort us out like a £10 discount on this vodka. Do you want to come here?"
Do you think he knew when he invited you? Do you think it was? Do you think you were a victim of the long con that he thought? Yes. Right, I want to get some free drinks in Southampton. How do I do this? If I mention to Dan Fudge that I'm going out in Southampton, maybe he'll say, "Oh, I might be able to get us some stuff for free." And this whole thing unfolds from there.
That's it. That's exactly what's happened. And me being me, I've gone, "Yeah, I can sort that out. Yeah."
Yes, Miss Peacock. Yes, thank you, Miss Peacock. I love you, Miss Peacock. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Can I hold your coat, sir? Can I hold your coat, sir?
Fudge, you considered for about 5 minutes doing radio journalism as a career. I think your true calling now is to become like the world's worst football agent. Like, I can't fix you up with a club. I can't fix you up with a new club to join, but I can sort you out £10 of free drinks in Pop World.
I can get a contract like the Grey Goose in 90 degrees. Yeah, I can sort that out.
And get you a lap dance for free, sorted.
It's weird you said that, but yeah, I can do that and I can get my free lap dance. If you're in Southampton, kids, give me a nudge. I'll see my mate Sam. Sorry, Tegan. That's the name she goes to. I'll sort her out. She's not on Twitter. She's on my Instagram. Go and have a look.
Thank good. I thought it was going to be from you then, Fudgy, old boy. That would be absolutely terrifying, having you shaking your bits and bobs at everybody.
No, none of us want that.
Before we move on, I've just come across a player. Don't take that literally. There's a player that does rival Bothroyd.
Ooh.
Francis Jeffers.
Oh God, is that within the last 10 years?
I was surprised that Jeffers didn't get a nudge. He was the player that said that was it Laws said he'd never going to play for us again because he got sent off against the heady heights of Port Vale, I think, or something like that, didn't he?
According to this here, 2007 to 2010, 54 appearances. How many goals did he score?
8.
7.
6.
5.
5. Do you know what? This is a true story that. All right, don't all complain here. But at Wolves away last season, when I was stood outside, the pub talking to James Kay because he managed to get to that game last season, and we were bombarding him with questions, and one of them was, "Who's the best player that you played with at Wednesday?" And he genuinely said Francis Jeffers. He said that on the training ground he could score goals for absolute fun, but the players that he was playing around at that time just weren't good enough. He was so much better than them that he could not score goals for Wednesday. That's a true story.
I suppose it does kind of make sense because before he came to us, he did have a belt in time, didn't he? He was, again, very well thought.
He was fucking rubbish. He was 18 years old, scored a couple of goals for Everton, and he signed for Arsenal for an obscene amount of money, scored 1 goal off his ass, and then spent the next 5 or 6, 7 years just trawling around from club to club trying to regain the form from when he was a teenager before he started on the fags. Bollocks to him. He was absolutely bloody rubbish. He was just an horrible bloody scouser. That's all he was. He used to play next to Duncan Disorderly. That's how bloody good he was. And Duncan Disorderly, once again, was shit. He was just a big Scottish shit kicker who could just jump higher than everybody else. Bollocks to Francis Jeffers. He was bloody rubbish.
Here's a question. Where would you find all of the following in one place? Chairs, tables, beer, Vic, James, more beer, Dickie Owl, Eddie, more beer, and the rest of the Wednesday week gang. That's right, it's the Riverside Cafe's new outside bar. All of your favourite lagers, ciders, soft drinks and hand pump ales are now available outside. Come and see the gang and give it a try. The Riverside Cafe's new outside bar, now open on match days.
Right then, ladies and gents. So, last little bit for this evening. Does anybody have any little bits?
Yeah, I have some bits on the back of the what we were saying about shit players. Does anyone remember Christian Maryleb?
No.
What?
No, I tell you what it was. Christian Maryleb was the product of when Ron Atkinson came and joined us again at the back end of the 90s. Do you remember?
Austrian geezer.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My word, it's ringing a little bell in the back of my noggin.
He was terrible. However, the best 90s centre parting that anybody's ever had. That's my bit.
If anybody's
97 to 98, 7 appearances, no goals.
Wow.
If anybody's going to appreciate a 90s centre parting, it's going to be Fudgy, isn't it?
I've got a couple of things. Do you know, I've just realised that in my random notes that I kind of scribbled down after the game, we forgot to mention about the Brighton thing, about the Abdi hoo-ha, which subsequently turned out not really to be a hoo-ha at all, did it? Because I don't know if this was going on online as well, but certainly in the pub, there was this rumour that went around that it was originally named on the bench and then he stormed out and refused to have anything to do with it. And then it subsequently turned out that actually he was just ill and he'd gone home because he'd got flu. That ended up being nothing, but we forgot to mention about that. Right, what else? Huddersfield sold out, which I thought was worth a mention.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I know, right, we're in no position to kind of moan at other teams about tickets, but it's annoying me a bit they've only given us 2,000 when we've had 4,500 for the last few seasons. And I get that more teams are doing this now, whereby they're splitting their away end with home fans to try and kill the away atmosphere. They're also charging us 30 quid a ticket, and it's a tenner for home fans, which I just think is a bit crap. Now, I get the fact that, if there's any club in the league that can't complain about this, it's us, but I needed to say it.
No, you're quite right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just think it stinks a bit that if at least we rip off home fans as well as away fans. Bloody hell.
Exactly. We rip off everybody equally. We're an equal opportunities rip-off merchant. And
one final thing, which is a bit of sad news actually, which is that a Wednesday fan that a lot of people might know, they'll certainly know him by face if they don't know him by name, has passed away in the last couple of days, and this is a guy called Michael Plum. Michael sat on the North stand for years and years and years, and was a face you would see at pretty much every away game.
Yeah.
And I've seen him at, even up to the last few weeks, I see him at away games, always with a massive smile on his face. Everyone knew who he was, even if they didn't know him to talk to. You kind of knew that guy with the white hair that's always at the away games. And as far as I know, he's been a Wednesday fan all his life, been going for years and years and years. Hasn't been too well recently, and unfortunately passed away this week. So, on behalf of all of us at the Wednesday week, and the extension of that from the rest of the Wednesday family and community as well, our thoughts and feelings with his family.
Absolutely. Rich or Bean, I believe you've had some possibly exciting news this week.
Yeah. Well, my shit feature, Where Are They Now? that James stole as his own. It was, but the very first one we're actually in touch with now, and I have a text in his mobile phone inbox tonight. Just see if we can trying to get him on the show. But I'll leave it till later, see if we can actually get him, and then we'll bring you on next week. But it's quite an interesting one.
Does that mean that there is no Where Are They Now?
There isn't one this week. No.
What do you mean there's not one this week? It was my favourite feature for James to ruin.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, he came out with one last week, Land's Key, and I'm presuming he's done a little bit of homework because he's diligent like this. So James will be able to tell us exactly where Land's Key is.
He's at home at the moment. He's just watching a repeat of 9 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown because he's a big fan of it. He says, I've just Skyped him now. He's fine. He says hi. Rich, why don't you do, since we talked about him earlier, why don't you do John Bostock?
John Bostock
on Where Are They Now?
What do I know? Well, yeah, go for it then. John Bostock is your man. I'm just trying to scrolling down my list. I've got this playlist. So it's quite good, actually.
All right, I can tell you, John Bostock now plays for RC Lens, which is the team that Hafiz Mammadov bought. We actually talked about this a few weeks ago, and I completely forgot about it. But he joined them on a 2-year deal. He scored five goals in 10 games for them all already. So does that answer that one, or do you need any more info?
So now the feature's got to, Rich does a feature where he goes, what happened to this player? Now James just suggests it and then just says the answer straight out. Is that where that feature's gone now?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it'll be dead as of next week.
I mean, if you would like another feature to try to replace it, my wonderful father, old Lord H, presented me with a gift just the other day, a book of Wednesday's Where Are They Now? But no, we blow that one
book. That's a great idea.
Actual book. So I'm going to read. No, I'm not going to read about this book. Oh, well, I am actually. It was on this day. Sheffield Wednesday news on this day. On this day, I must admit, it's not been great news in history. After a disastrous afternoon at Villa Park, the Owls were crushed 10-0, recording the heaviest defeat ever in a competitive football game by Aston Villa, which was lovely. That was in 1912, and in 1977, with Wednesday at the bottom of the old third division, manager Len Alhurst was sacked, with coach Ken Knighton putting in temporary charge for first team affairs. So as a general rule, this day is really, really crappy for Wednesday nights in history as well.
Yeah, thanks for that positive end. Yeah,
absolutely. No. Jeez Louise, it's been a shitty show this evening, hasn't it? Right, ladies and gents, that'll bring us an end to this week. Thank you again so much for joining us. Fudgy, old boy, if people want to see you and your new devices over there online, where can we do that?
If you want to see my normal nonsense ranting about Francis Jeffers and screaming at the Green Man pub in London, you can get me at Twitter at Dan Fudge. Give me a shout. I'm normally being miserable about something, to be fair.
Richie Oldbean, if you want to get over to you over there on Twitter and ask where are they now, where can we do that?
Yeah, you can find me abusing James for the next week for ruining my features at Dickie Owl.
When you say ruining your features, old boy, is that... No, let's not go there. James...
Let's leave that one.
James, old boy, if we want to see the disgusting filth that Richard throws at you, where can we do that?
I don't really know how to respond to what's just happened there. Right, if you want to get me on Twitter, I am at James Mario. Obviously, international break. I'm going away for the weekend, and this was booked long before the football fixtures came out. Guess where I'm going for the weekend? Brighton.
Thailand.
I'll be avoiding all Brighton fans for the next few days. Can I mention as well, on behalf of Vic, who can't be with us tonight, she's got a bit of a headache and all that. Our online shop, we've had some more sales in the last week, including, I believe, someone's actually bought a Wolves Away T-shirt. So if you do want to buy any Wednesday week merchandise, it's twww.tmill, which is TEEMILL.co.uk, and there's a variety of absolute garbage there that you might just want to own. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with that, James. I'm really going to have to disagree. Mr. Eddie, who is not with us this evening as well, has put a marvellous Sasso T-shirt up there. I implore everybody, go and have a little look. It is fantastic. So you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, there's even a Where Are They Now one, which will obviously not sell at all. So
it'll go as well as a feature.
Yeah. It
was on there. I just deleted it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, James. Thanks. Love you.
Of course. James, if people do want to find you over there on Twitter, where can we do that?
Yeah, I am at James Marriott.
Of course, if you'd like to get over me over there on the Twitter, you can do that at Lord H. I would like to apologise for my lack of tweetage for the last week or so. Unfortunately, I've had mobile telephone issues, or should I say my beautiful, marvellous daughter has had mobile phone issues, who obviously I had to give my phone to because she can't possibly without it. I must admit, I thought it was going to be quite easy to get on without a phone for a couple of weeks. Well, for a week, should I say. I must admit, I think I'm turning to a bit of a teenage girl, boys and girls. I completely miss my mobile, and I'm an old man. What the chuff's happening there? Of course, you can get all of the podcast over there on the Twitterage as well at TWWcast. You can get us on Facebook, on YouTube's iTunes is back up and running at full pelt now, ladies and gents. So thank you so much again. I know I've said it before, but I really do appreciate your patience while we can get that taken care of. But most importantly, be good, be safe, and we shall see you real soon. How drunk are you, Fudge?
Only a bit drunk. I'm only about 4 beers in.
That's quite drunk for a southerner.
Yeah.
Oh, who's this guy? I sleep by 8 o'clock.
You got a little bit of lemonade in that top of that drink.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I actually have as well. I feel.